Hey guys, my name is Shai and this is Evermind Astro. I was originally calling this channel, for those of you who don't know me, this is my second channel. I was calling it Evermind Taroscopes, but life happened. I ended up having to take a big break, and today when I came back to finally put some attention back into this second channel, I discovered that the name had changed. I still might post some taroscopes on this channel, but I think its real purpose is going to be to give me a space to talk about astrology, because astrology is always in my head, and that's kind of what I ended up doing most naturally through my first few kind of experimental videos on this channel. So Evermind Astro it is, and this video is about the Sagittarius North Node, okay? The Sagittarius North Node, which means your Gemini South Node. This also applies to you if you have your North Node in the 9th house, but in some other sign, your South, and therefore your South Node in the 3rd house. So it's the Sagittarius, Gemini, 9th house, 3rd house type of axis. And of course, you always want to watch both videos because your unique North Node, it has a sign, right? In this case, for you, it's going to be Sagittarius or the 9th house. And then, of course, it is located in a house. So you want to watch both videos, right, that correspond to you and kind of weave them together, because a Sagittarius North Node in the 12th house is going to be a lot different than a Sagittarius North Node in the 10th house. So you have to figure out your combination, right? So anyway, Sagittarius North Node. This one is all about escaping smallness, going big, going huge, going above and beyond. Why do I say it's about escaping smallness? So let's take it down for a minute to the Gemini South Node, or for some of you, the 3rd house South Node, because Gemini and Mercury, right, all of that, that's all 3rd house type of energy. So that's why it's vibrationally similar in some respects. So anyway, as I always say, right, the South Node is where we get the challenged version, or the basically overemphasized version of an energy to the point where it has become exhausted, become challenged. So I really love Gemini energy. I'm a Gemini moon. I'm very familiar with it. I love it so much. And yet, when we get it in the South Node, now we get to talk about its problems, right? What do we get when Gemini energy goes wrong, or when it just becomes overburdened, overbogged, overgrown, okay? That's when we get trapped in smallness and we get trapped in our own minds. So there's really two different ways this can kind of play out. The Gemini South Node, trapped in smallness, it can be trapped in your mind, trapped in your thoughts, trapped in thinking that this is what is real, and therefore that is what is real. You can actually get trapped in reality, trapped in your mind. You can get stuck going, well, this is what I see, or this is what is logical, and therefore that is all that is. You can really, really get trapped in your own mind, and especially in your own mind's conclusions about what is true. So the other way this can play out, and it can be both or one or the other for you, is it can be getting trapped in your physical human reality, right? I mean, Taurus is more of like the physical reality, but Taurus and Gemini, 2nd house, 3rd house, they have a connection here, right? Because the Gemini 3rd house thing, it's kind of like the human reality, right? The human reality. So getting trapped in a, like, physically speaking or humanly speaking, in a Gemini reality is getting like trapped in your neighborhood, feeling like you can't escape some kind of local environment, because the 3rd house Gemini can also involve your local environment, and it can involve your siblings. So for some of you, not for everybody, but for some of you, this could really play out in terms of sibling problems, having sibling conflicts as a kid, or feeling like your siblings dominated your life somehow, or feeling kind of trapped with them or trapped in their scenarios. This can definitely play out in terms of being trapped in your neighborhood. So a really easy example here is someone who is born and raised in some kind of underprivileged environment where there's, not enough money, and maybe there's not enough support, there's not enough resources, and they feel like they can never escape their neighborhood, feeling like I'm going to be trapped in this town, or I'm going to be trapped in this situation forever. I can't see my way out. I'm never going to have enough money to leave. My parents can't provide for me. Maybe the social systems aren't going to help me escape, and feeling like you're just trapped in here. So it can really end up in its like worst manifestations. This Gemini South Node can end up making you feel like you're just looking at the ground, looking at reality, and like trapped in the dirt. A really good example here is do you know the movie Interstellar? There's a line in the movie Interstellar where the guy says, "We used to look up and wonder about our place among the stars. And now all we're doing is looking down and worrying about our place in the dirt." Gemini South Node. You could find yourself trapped, looking downwards, being trapped in a narrow-minded reality, worrying about your place in the dirt. No, this does not mean that Gemini is always narrow-minded. Like I say, I'm a Gemini moon. I love Gemini. It can be incredibly expansive. It can generate all possibilities, but not really in the South Node, not until you have explored your North Node. So you got to escape your mind, escape your reality, escape what you think is true, and really blast off. Because moving into the Sagittarius North Node, this is fire. This is escapism to some extent. It is temperance and transcendence. It is rising above and beyond. If you need a fire under your ass to propel you out to the stars, that is Sagittarius, right? Sagittarius blasts off. So again, an easy example could be someone raised in that trapped environment, feeling stuck in their neighborhood, feeling stuck in their limitations, but finding the means somehow through like the fire under their ass, right? It's like getting scholarships to go to a really good school, to be able to change your life, right? To get that job that gets you the big salary that propels you and maybe your whole family out. With Sagittarius North Node, you could end up taking others with you just because you have so much power to transcend and to escape. So Sagittarius is rather complex and very interesting to me because, just think of Jupiter, right? Ruled by Jupiter. It's like go big or go home. It's rise above, transcend, but it also has this tempering element to it. If you're familiar with the tarot, think of the Temperance card in the tarot. And yes, people talk about the Temperance card, about it meaning balance and about it meaning moderation. Because I think when people hear the word temperance, they think of like not drinking alcohol. And that is part of this, but I really think a better way, like my favorite way anyway, of thinking about the word temperance and about the Temperance card and about the Sagittarius energy is I always use the example of tempering a sword. Think about a blacksmith heating up the steel, right? Heating up the steel till it's molten hot and hammering away at it. And then when it's into its proper shape, the blacksmith has to temper the sword, right? Temper the steel, quench it by lowering it into like cold water or oil or something, right? They would quench it, they would temper it. And that is when, there's like an actual chemical process going on amongst the metal. When it cools that fast, it becomes flexible. It like snaps into shape, but it is now flexible, right? The quenching process or the tempering process is really important because that is how the steel leaves behind its rigidity and becomes flexible. If you don't, from what I understand, right, I'm not a blacksmith, but from what I understand of blacksmithing, if you don't temper the steel, your sword would be very brittle, right? And so it's to change it so that it can become flexible. And there's this element of kind of leaving behind impurities, leaving behind the past, leaving behind brittleness. So in a sense, you're leaving behind all of that Gemini-minded brittleness, right? And just going above and beyond it all. So Sagittarius North Node people, you guys, as long as you can face your fears of going above and beyond, like you're probably going to feel this weird push-pull, right? It's like you have these big dreams, you feel the pull, you want to go big, you want to escape, maybe you want to travel. Like I use the example of, for some people, depending on your house placement, right, this could be like becoming really wealthy because wealth could be the thing that pulls you up, right? For some people, it could be travel. You could travel the whole world. The Sagittarius North Node, I'd be very surprised if you didn't have some type of travel or big move at some point in your life whenever your Sagittarius North Node is being activated, because you could like move to a different country, or you could travel a long distance, something like that. But of course, like, see, there's so many things, right, with Sagittarius. It could be making a lot of money. It could be travel. It could be academics. This is a good placement for like getting a PhD in something, right? Higher learning, and of course, spirituality, right? You could become a spiritual leader. You could you could basically find yourself exploring all of the different religions and different spiritual traditions, and then tempering them all together, right? This is a good example. Imagine you get really into spirituality because your North Node in Sagittarius, or the ninth house, is playing out in terms of your spirituality. Maybe you even, at first, you try a few different religions, and then you're like, it's not quite it. And then you explore a bunch of different spiritual traditions. You get into astrology, you get into numerology, you get into all of the different things that people do in terms of their own personal spirituality, and you kind of explore it all. And then at the end of the day, you are the expert, because you have taken what's best from all of them. You have left behind what is not great. You have taken the best of everything and put it all together, and now you're like, hey, world, I can present to you my conclusions here. This is what I am after my long journeying. This is what I've become, and this is what I can present to the world. So many different ways for this to play out. Just the main thing is that it is always about escaping, right? And going above and beyond and going big. And you guys will know when your Sagittarius or ninth house North Node is being activated, because it will feel like a fire under your ass. You will be propelled, right? And yes, there will be massive fear facing, especially if you have other Gemini placements or third house placements that want to like keep you down, keep you small, keep you focused on what is real, right? Because you're going to have to learn to go beyond what appears to be real, to go beyond the mind, to go beyond what is right in front of you, and just really go above and beyond, like in every way possible, and allow yourself to go big. And that can be really, really, really fear-facing, because you're going to have to leave all of your safety behind. You're going to have to leave all of your security behind. You're going to have to leave behind like what is real to you, right? This is leaving your own reality behind. So for some of you, again, depending on how it plays out, this could you could really struggle with, you could feel like you're like disassociating from reality, because when Sagittarius goes like really off into the deep end, you could feel like you could have these experiences of feeling really detached, or feeling like dizzy, lightheaded, or feeling like suddenly you just don't fit in with your friends from your hometown anymore. Maybe suddenly it doesn't fit with your family. You don't fit with your old job. There can really be this feeling of like, I don't fit anywhere. Nothing that used to work for me is really working. This is so weird and uncomfortable. And you can just have different types of experiences of like disassociation or disconnection. That's because you're rising above and beyond. But don't worry, there's always what I call the kickback. Whenever you have explored your North Node, you will eventually discover that the point isn't to ultimately leave behind your South Node forever. It is to explore the North Node, kind of, and then you end up balancing out the two, and there's this kickback effect. The kickback effect is what I call it, when exploring your North Node actually begins to satisfy your South Node desires, and you get them more in balance. So what this could look like for someone is like ultimately return, like after like a 20-year journey of traveling the world and gathering wisdom and becoming enlightened and all of that, and then returning to your hometown and bringing back what you have learned. I'm getting a lot of shivers on that. That is really relevant for somebody. And then maybe like if your hometown is like really underprivileged, and you could set up something where you're going to help the next generation evolve and escape and grow, so that they don't feel so limited, so that they are not so trapped, right? You could be bringing money back home and to like set up some kind of scholarship or some kind of youth program or something like that. Or of course, if it's playing out more spiritually, you could end up literally like, just think like in terms of transcendental meditation, right? You could be traveling the universe, right? You could be doing astral travel. And then as you bring it back to earth, you're bringing back the light and the wisdom, the light codes, the energy, bringing back what you gained in the cosmos, bringing it back to earth and to like the human, right? Bringing it back to the human. So, and then that's going to really satisfy your desire to be located in your human reality. So there's going to be this kickback effect, and it's all about bringing it back and getting it grounded into your human self, into your human body, into your human life, and ultimately, you know, sorry, if it's your siblings or your hometown or your local environment, whatever it is, it's all about bringing it back, bringing it back. That is how you satisfy the Gemini or the third house north node or south node, sorry. So that is, I think, what I'm seeing for you guys. And again, for those of you who don't know me, I am more often known as Evermind Oracle. That is my original YouTube channel. It's tarot readings and channelings and different types of stuff for lightworkers and starseeds, or for anybody curious enough to go into the kind of spiritual, esoteric deep end. I also do private readings. You can see all of my links down below, and everything that I'm going to be doing over the next couple years is a complete work in progress. So if you're watching this video a couple of years after I post it, you'll just have to see whatever I'm up to, because constantly evolving, right? And that's why I'm really liking your guys' energy, because you guys, the Sagittarius North Node, will ultimately be in a state of constant evolution, constantly going above and beyond, constant growth, grounding it back down so that it actually serves the place that you came from. So sending you guys so much love and light. I'll talk to you later. Bye.